Hello, guardians of the blind and travelers in time, and welcome. I, as always, am your humble bard, and today we have a special guest on the podcast, longtime friend of our show, Eike Büchse. How you doing, Eike?
I'm fine. Good evening to you.
How's the weather up there in Germany today?
Dude, it's hot. It's pretty hot. Like everything's melting around me, and I'm sitting in my trailer, which is which doesn't have any climate, and I'm sweating my balls off.
Ooh, we better kick off quick before you melt away on us, eh? So, as viewers would know, you've been a longtime fan of the band.
Oh yeah.
How old were you, I guess, is the best way to put it, when you became a Blind Guardian fan?
14 turning 15 was in the Easter time of 1999. Yeah, I'm that old.
So, being a fan, what kind of drew you to Blind Guardian over, there's especially in Germany, your exposure to metal, I would imagine, maybe not so much in 1999, but your exposure to the hard rock, heavy metal scene would have a lot of options. Why Blind Guardian, Eike?
Because I didn't choose in that age. I believe you don't choose a band or a music style out of nowhere, because it's just you don't run around and try at first try to get into things without any guidance. So you start to listen to the music your friends listen to, okay? Because you meet with other people, you put on a tape or put on a CD and whatever, listen to it, and then get into the groove, and you start listening like, okay, I like that band, I like that style, and I don't like that style, that's okay, and that's mediocre stuff, and that's the good stuff. And somewhere in this process, you tend to find out that you have a hankering for, I don't know, in my case, heavy metal, and in this very special case, Blind Guardian. Because I may have told this on the other show, that on the other interview that we did. At that time, before I got into heavy metal music, I was into had a thing for choir music, like a lot of people singing, and for how's it called, for the spirituals.
Right. I think choral is the right word. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
you like
Like those big uplifting voices with powerful sound, and many people interacting with each other, and I found a lot of that in the then current Blind Guardian CD, which was Nightfall in Middle Earth. And so I heard the combination of the powerful voices and the shredding guitars, which I hadn't heard before at that time, and the great stories they tell that I personally admire until today, the stories of Tolkien, and all that intermingled made such a powerful impact on me at that special time, that I immediately fell in love with it and never got away from it.
So, what was your thoughts then? 1999, we're talking pre-Night at the Opera. So, what were your thoughts then when you dug into the back catalog? Was that also during the 17th year, or did you do what most teenagers do, where I was guilty of this, where I loved Nightfall so much, I was a Blind Guardian fan, but Nightfall was my album, so I just listened to that one over and over and over again, and not branch out for a bit.
The thing at this age, not at the time, but at the age of 14 and 15, is availability of things and accessibility to things. Okay, so maybe today it's a little easier. If you're 14 or 15 and you want to listen to some certain stuff, you go on the internet or go to Spotify and get all the material you want. But in 1999, that wasn't the thing. You had to drive to a record store or to an electronics store and hope that they have any sort of CD or tapes or vinyls or whatever of the band you're actually looking for. And with that, you can't be picky. Okay, so you don't care if this is old stuff or this is new stuff or this is some in between, and they changed the singer and don't like that record, or I didn't like the sound of the guitar he's playing. That doesn't exist. You take all the stuff you can get, take it, never give it back, and start loving it. and then listening to it all over and over and over again. And that is that time when I believe that was the height and the beginning decline of all those shady bootleg and tape trading stuff. Okay, because tape trading or CD trading or burning CDs and sending them somewhere is always an expression of this availability thing. Okay, so I for whatever reason live in any other country where they don't have heavy metal CDs, but I'm a heavy metal fan, and I don't have internet, so I need to have a guy who like puts things in an envelope and sends them over. Okay, this is all availability and accessibility, and that's the same thing, same energy when you're 14 or 15. You need to get your stuff, but you don't know how. And so if you get your stuff, you can't be picky. So you love everything that very band does.
Well, and I think that's a good point. I think it's kind of hard maybe to understand with something like, there's been a debate, because of Violent Shadows, from the Waken, or the Waken show, Wow. Yeah. From the Waken show being like a
song. Just for that intersection, I love that song. Okay.
Fantastic, right? I mean,
no, please go on.
True return to form, and it captures all of what the new, I think what the I shouldn't say generation, the era of Frederick, the era for starting, with a twist in the myth when it just progressively got, more layered, heavier, and kind of all that stuff, kind of almost in a way a nod back to the original Blind Guardian, where it's a lot heavier but a lot more production put into it.
Yeah,
I could go on. We can go on forever on that one, but we should save that for a retrospective on the album.
Please.
But I think it's hard for people to understand now where, something like Violent Shadows wouldn't have been something that necessarily a North American fan would have had access to if it had come out, even in the early 2000s. Like LimeWire and, things like that. There was another site too. You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Napster.
Like, in order, exactly, Napster, and there was another one too. Like there was several of them, and it was sketchy because sometimes you just didn't get, when you downloaded, you didn't get what you needed to. It had a ton of viruses and stuff like that. So really, all your options were, there's a band that has Tolkien. Well, I'm just going to go to CD Plus and order it, and hopefully it'll get shipped here, because of course it takes forever for them to do it. There's no YouTube to just click on, and well, maybe I'm not sure how old YouTube is, but it certainly wasn't on my radar when I got into Blind Guardian necessarily, So I think it's a lot harder for people to understand now. So being 17 in 1999, would you, and being a fan
14 to 15 in 1999.
Sorry.
I turned 17 in 2002.
Okay, so Night at the Opera. Okay, my bad. So being 14 or 15 in 1999, if you said yourself you weren't really into heavy metal, hard rock, you were more into the orchestral, more classical, choral kind of music. Yeah. If Legacy of the Darklands had been, out at that point, it had been your first entry point, do you think you still would have viewed or, gotten into heavy metal the same way?
It depends. If my friends would have, I would have too. That's the in German it's called Herdentrieb. I don't know the English expressions. Where if you just go with your herd of people, you're a flock of sheep, and you just walk all in the same direction because it's what you do. And so if my friends at that time would have popped up with a CD and said, "This is the good shit, listen to it," I would have done it, because this is your friends at that time are the main gatekeepers for the things you do. Okay, you will never if you have a set of friends you're real friends with, not like guys you met in school and you're just classmates and you have nothing in common, but it's your true friends. I believe at that age you don't stray from the path. You just go with the flow, and whatever the group likes, you like, and all the impulses you bring to the group are taken up by them, and this is like it's merry-go-round of music. Okay.
No, you're right. It's teenagers. It's the era or the age when you really feel most rebellious, and yet you all are rebelling in the exact same way under guided by each other,
Yeah.
not near. And in hindsight, you're like, oh wow, I can't believe
Yeah,
we
we're all
were.
individuals.
Yeah, we're unique. We all got the exact same shirt on, but we're
Yeah,
we're all different.
yeah, but yeah. Here's the thing. I have never thought of teenagership or of the teenage years as a part of rebellion, because I didn't have to, as me personally, I didn't have to rebel against anything. Okay, so um, I I was I was able to not do what I was able to do as I pleased. I was able to choose the music as that I wanted to listen to play the games I wanted to play, to read the books, watch the shows, do whatever I like, as long as I stay in a certain set of, you know, common rules that are okay and acceptable with everybody. But that time was the age of finding yourself. Okay, trying to find your place in this ever-changing world, and try to find out who you are. Okay, because going back to to your friends, you do what your friends do, but it's the anchor at that time that holds you at some place. But you always have the feeling that that's finally it. You have to look around for yourself and find your very personal, unique spot in this world. And that's what my teenage years were. I had a set of very good friends. I have them. I'm still friends with them today, and I'm very happy about that. But I was going over there, looking what those people did, going over there, looking what these people did over there and over there, and that, just to return to them in the end. Okay.
So, your group was obviously, I mean, like you said, you kind of get into what you want. Obviously, your friends were Blind Guardian fans as well. Yeah. Is that safe to assume? How long was it before that herd? How long was it before they followed Blind Guardian to the live setting? When was it that, Eike and his droogs got a chance to actually see the Guardians live?
Very nice. The droogs got the chance to see Blind Guardian live on the 29th of April in the year 2002. So approximately like 3 years, from a very starting point as a little heavy metal fan to a mid-sized heavy metal fan.
Smack dab in the Night of the Opera tour, eh?
Yeah, very, very nice, very nice.
So I could take us to that moment, man. Like, were you all there? What was the atmosphere? How did it all lead out? What was the venue like?
Okay. First of all, to just give you the energy, that was my first concert I went to alone. Okay, so I have to introduce this because this makes a lot of sense in the end. I swear to God. Okay, so the first show I went on my own or accompanied with my friends was to a very big punk rock show in Frankfurt, and that was in the year 2000. I got the tickets right in front of me. I looked it up in preparation for this, and I was 15. Okay, and I was like this size and that tall. Okay, and that was Frankfurt Festhalle. German fans know this is big venue, 10,000 people, stuffed, crowded, and we were there like 3 hours before the show, and we tried to intermingle with the much older fans that were there in their 30s, in their 40s, whatever hardcore guys they were, and we were like, yeah, the coolest. Okay, we had the shirt and we had your tickets, and we were like, oh yeah, this is my posse here, right? I'm the biggest man. And the first thing, one of the things two of the things I remember that made this night was we arrived at the venue and we saw a flying bottle of empty Jägermeister straight into the crowd. That was the first thing I saw when I arrived at that scene, and I thought, shit, because at that time I didn't really drink beer, and those guys were getting randomly drunk right before the show. And the second thing, and that if you're 15, maybe you thought this were cool or whatever, but I wasn't afraid at all. And so we got to the fences, sat down and had refreshing whatever we had, and out of the blue, one of the older fans or people that were there pulled out a cigar, and it had the aluminum tube with it. And he, out of nowhere, I didn't talk to that guy 2 words before, and he said, "I'm gonna show you how to make a shank out of this." And right before that, he was producing a fucking shank out of that cigar tube. And so my first impression of live rock music was this. And the people inside the venue, the 10,000 people inside the venue, had same energy. Okay, and me, like this size, this small, right in the center of everybody. In retrospect, that was not a good idea, but it makes it worthwhile memory. And so, okay, so this was 2 years before the good music.
Okay.
Before this, and so I was like overexcited at that time. I'm always overexcited if I like things, but this was special because first I was waiting, I wasn't waiting, but I was into this music and all of the things that Blind Guardian and heavy metal does make for 3 years, but only in a consuming and a theoretical point kind, listening to the music and reading magazines and reading books, and that's all consuming, and it's all in a theoretical way. You have to imagine what this is like on stage to be to listen to this music and see the people and see them interact with each other and stuff. And so with this, I was looking forward to it, and I don't know who actually bought these tickets for us, because at that time we had internet, but it was shitty internet, and I don't think that we ordered those tickets online. So we either got these from Rock Hard magazine, we saw maybe an ad, or from EMP merchandising catalog, which has the tour announcements as well. And so somebody must have called the venue and said, we want like 5 or 6 tickets, whatever. Here are here's my bank account number. Just withdraw the money. Everything's fine. Things you did in the 90s. You called somebody up, gave them your bank information, and they just purchased the stuff for you. As well, send shit out. Some things people wouldn't do today. So the energy at that night. I believe it was kind of warm because it was the end of April, and we're standing outside the city hall in Lang, which was a smaller club at that time. They remodeled it. It's much bigger right now. It was like 1,500 or 2,000 people at that night, and it was the first time I saw Blind Guardian fans live, because up to that time I was only the only fans I knew were my friends, and that's not the level you talk to with your friends. They're friends in the first place and Blind Guardian fans in the second place. So I was like checking if the people I saw around me were I wanted to find out how these people were, and how they what do they look like, and what do they talk about, and what are their do they have a certain style of clothing, or do they have a certain I don't know, because I didn't know any of this. Okay, this was all I knew about this band was by listening to the music and reading, but there was no there was a deeper learning or talking or discussing about them, because there was no way to discuss this. Okay, today you go online and go to the fan group and discuss whatever you like, whatever topic you want to talk about with a set of fans from anywhere in the world. And at that time, I had to rely on the fans that are the people that I dealt with on a daily basis, and they were my friends, and they had no other information about the band or the music or whatever than I. And so I lived in a small bubble until that point. Okay.
That makes sense, yeah, because obviously you're all reading the same magazines. You've already talked about the exact same stuff. There's no difference. So
exactly.
What was it like then conversing with these Blind Guardian fans? Like, did it open up your world a little bit?
Yeah, and that's in the beginning of a chat, I talked about finding yourself. Okay, that's all the things you do until you're, I don't know, 21 or 20 in your 20s. In the 20s, you're done with that, and you follow a certain path. And at that time, it's all about finding your place and trying to belong to a certain group of people, and to belong to a certain culture where you find yourself, and where you can put your mind at ease and say, this is where I want to go to, this is where I belong. And this evening, and that's why I was that overexcited, was the proving point of that. Okay, so I had all those theoretical stuff, all the music and the reading, and I made it up in my head what it would be like to, be part of this, to see this live, and to be maybe part of a subculture, of fans of a subculture. Okay, and from my experience, and that's why I told this punk rock story before, those weren't people I didn't want to belong to. Okay, I liked the music of the band, no doubt about that, but I didn't like the fans because they weren't my everything. They weren't my cup of tea. I'm not the guy making shanks out of aluminum tubes. Okay, and so we stood in line waiting for the pat down before we get in, and I checked the people, and all of the fans standing there from from the city, or from out of town, or maybe from another country, traveling by plane. They were all kind of peaceful. They were just patiently waiting until the doors opened, and then everybody was like, nicely going forward, and then rushing to the stage as soon as they were inside the concert hall. And as soon as they had the foreband, the opening band playing, that was Freedom Call at that night, and as soon as the lights in the venue went out for the second time after the changeover between Freedom Call and Blind Guardian, I wasn't quite sure if it was happening, and then it's the same today. You stand inside the concert hall, and then the lights go out. They first go dim and then go dark, and then you hear the intro of the band, and that of course was you first hear the drawbridge from War of Wrath, and you hear all the footsteps and the fighting, and then all of a sudden, and that was the final moment. I know that this was real, and that all those guys around me were Blind Guardian fans as well. They were reciting in unison, "The field is lost. Everything is lost." And I was like, dude, this is it. We finally made it here, and I am part of all this, and it went so well until this point. And after that, it's all history. Okay.
That's and see, that's kind of a cool experience too, because you went from such a, like, someone easily could have, gone to that punk show and been like, okay, well, all hard rock, heavy metal fans are exactly this way.
This is me from now on. I am 15.
Yeah, exactly right. I'll always know how to make a shank out of a cigar tube. But what, Eike, for you, was there a moment of hesitation? Like, did any part of you think before the show happened, man, I could be walking into the exact same situation I was?
No way, because the behavior of the fans, or the self-conduct of the fans, is always interlinked with the personality the band has. Okay, and so it's easy to find aggressive and violent people in fan crowds among punk rock and hardcore bands, and particularly generally all bands that produce aggression and hate and fighting and whatever spirit, and so this music kind of attracts a certain set of people. Not all people, that's not generalization, but there are a certain set of violent and misbehaving people that feel attracted by that music. And you will never find that in a crowd of Blind Guardian fans, because nowhere on any CD, in any song, in any line of Blind Guardian is that to be found. The music itself, the lyrics are far too great, too complex, too sophisticated to, attract people who are themselves attracted by random acts of violence. So this just does not work out. Okay. So in my from my very small point of view, Blind Guardian fans in general are a very peaceful crowd that enjoy the music and the things that happen on the stage and everything that makes this band and the stories they tell so too important to spoil it for some random stuff that just does that's just that.
I think a part of being a Blind Guardian fan is wanting to share that experience. Like that's part of the reason these videos we're doing right now, have a collection of other fans, involved with it, is because I feel like Blind Guardian fans, more than, maybe because my scope is so limited to Blind Guardian, fan base, but I think lots of people want to share that experience, want to share the magic that the bards brought them. And I think that's the mark of a good community.
That's entirely true. And the thing is, what I believe is very important in fandom is that fandom is not a how's it called in English? A single line that goes from one point to
linear.
Anywhere. Yeah, it's not linear, but it's a circle. Fandom is a circle. One day, everybody of us stood in line and had their first Blind Guardian ticket, and everybody was looking around themselves and thinking, what are these people around me? How is the evening going to be? And is this as great as I would want it to be, and whatever? And you will find yourself standing in this concert hall and listening to the music, and all those people around you will make this a worthwhile experience. The music is the one part, the people around you is the much bigger part, because if the music sucks, well, it's one evening, okay. If the people around you suck, this has the much bigger impact, because you don't want to be part of this group anymore. It's that easy, I believe. And so at one point of history, everybody of us was 15 or 17 and going to their first show, and they were influenced by the people standing around them. And one fine day, when you've seen 10 shows, 30 shows, 50 shows, 100 shows, whatever shows, you will stand behind a 15 or 17-year-old holding their first ticket, standing in line, looking around them, trying to find out what's what. And at that very moment, you make the influence on other people. And this is important, because this is the start of fandom. And you as a single fan standing in the line or standing in the crowd and singing and making this a great experience for everybody, you're making this impact to the single person. Okay, this is the circle of fandom. You start with 15, to your first concert, go all the way around until you're whatever age, and there's the next 15-year-old, and you tip that guy off so you can make a circle as a fan, and he tips the next guy off. This is a circle.
So let me ask you this then, Eike. How important is it for, those of us that have been fans for a longer amount of time than, say, someone who's 17, just gone on, whether that's, Legacy or Beyond the Red Mirror, or just heard Nightfall randomly on the internet. What is the role of us, the past generation?
You have to be a role model. You have to be the ambassador of the band, because the band can't be everywhere. Okay, they have to do their work in the studio, and they got going on tour and recording stuff and whatever. But everybody of us who is part of a subculture and represents something, wearing a t-shirt, wearing a hairdo that I can't have anymore because I'm bald. Every time you go out of your door and you intermingle with other people who aren't your kin or aren't your family living with you, you become the ambassador of the group you represent at that very moment. And you have to be aware of that. So every time you step out of the door and you're identifiable as a heavy metal fan or fan of a certain band because the logo is on your t-shirt, you have to behave in a way you want other people to perceive heavy metal fans. It's that easy. The moment you step out of your door, you are accountable of what you do. You are accountable of how people experience heavy metal fans. That is that.
Well said, man. Now, going back to when you were one of the, you were the future generation, this show, you're 15 years old, or I guess it's 2002, 17 years old.
Yeah. 17 years old.
So there you are. So you're a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You've been hyping up for 2 years on this.
Yeah.
That warm night in April.
Yeah.
What is the most distinct memory you have of that day, Eike?
Wow. The most distinct memory of that day was the moment the lights went on. Again, we had talked about the moments the light went out. You said, okay, this is finally happening. I can hear all the music coming to life, in the very sense of the word, coming to life. I see the band on the stage as moving humans that make music, not just pictures I have to interlink with the music that comes from the city, but this is a live experience. This is live happening right now, right before me. And at the moment the lights at the venue went on again, I was completely certain that I want to be a part of this group, of this culture, a fan of this group, and part of this set of fans for as long as I can. And the great thing is, you are as a fan or as a heavy metal fan in the position to re-experience that night again and again and again and again. Each time you buy a ticket, you can reproduce this feeling, this grandiose moment of 2 hours of great music and singing and camaraderie and drinking and sweating and everything that makes a live event worthwhile. You can re-experience that. And by the moment the lights went on and all the magic started to leave the room, because magic can only exist when the room is dark and whatever, I was completely certain that, or I was happy that I can go on like this for as long as I like. This don't have to stop. I can get new CDs. I can listen to other bands. I can revisit this band, Blind Guardian, as long as they come touring again. This don't have to stop. Okay. And so this is it. This was a defining moment of my fandom. It was the defining moment of my fandom. And it was a very important point of my teenagership. Is it called teenagership? Of my teenage years. Because right there, right now, I found myself to some extent, and said, this is who I want to be. I want to be part of that group and enjoy these concerts for as long as I can. And this very evening, this one was the starting point of, maybe I got this as like of this.
That was my next question for you. What was the aftermath of that show, Eike? I mean, I see a ton of tickets there. Tell me about it.
This is the aftermath of this was that I said, okay, well, a live experience is a wonderful thing, okay, and it's the epitome of heavy metal. We talked about this on another occasion, okay. The music is the one thing, but the live experience is the other thing. And it led to the point that I, with some friends from from my group of friends, started producing live concerts at a very small scale for basement bands. Where if you have 3 or 4 friends in your basement, they play guitar and the guy sings or whatever, we would provide a stage, and you can go there and play and make music, and we sell drinks and do all this stuff. Okay, so this came some years later. We had to grow into that because we were 17 or 18. Guys were 18 or 19. I was 17 at that time, maybe a little young to pull something off like that. But I started organizing concerts in 2004, I believe. So this was 2 years later. Growing up, getting my driver's license, and started going to festivals. Going to Wacken Festival with the enormous price of 50 euros for all in ticket, and all that stuff. And from that point on, I tried to get in touch with as much music as I possibly can, because I found that this is uplifting. This is something that makes my heart sing, makes my soul a little lighter every day, And this is what I try to do until today. I can't produce concerts anymore. That time's up. I have to do a regular job. We did this for like 5 years, I believe, 4, 5, 6 years, something like that, and then pass the torch on to the next generation. Say, you did it better than us. Okay, we're off now.
That's such a cool path that it led you down, because it's still tied in very much with music, even if it didn't have to be, organizing Blind Guardian shows. You were still like interested in promoting, you know what I mean? Though, like you were still interested in promoting the local scene, which is something that gets forgotten a lot, because that is the next band.
If those places are not available to bands, and then they don't have access to those people, they will stop making music because it doesn't make sense for them. Okay, practicing your instrument is a fine thing, but if you can't play in front of an audience, it begins to suck. It begins to go bad, and you lose the spirit behind it. Okay,
and that's a good point. I mean, it is the future, and if there's no platform for them to be able to perform, it's not going to be there. So I guess that the road that the Bards led from you going, enjoying, just the classical music without venturing too much into that, to, then you went into, getting the, wanting to see the punk, the live scene, then going to see finally Blind Guardian with a group of friends. How many more times did you get the opportunity to see the Bards in all this chaos?
Okay. The last time I counted, it was like 4 times or 5 times, I believe. Let's see. I saw Blind Guardian live in obviously 2002. Then I have this very nice festival ticket of 2003, which gave me the opportunity to see the band 1 year later. And I have this ticket from 2006, which doesn't state the support band. I'm sorry, can't talk about it.
Oh, no,
and I have this ticket from, let's see, this is 2006, and this is 2007. This is 20 years of Nuclear Blast Festival in the Schleierhalle in Stuttgart. It was one of the most and best organized venues I ever went to, because they were like, it was like that big, it's like a big hall, a big venue, and they had all those. They mainly provide catering for business events. So in this concert hall filled with, I don't know, thousands of metal fans, there were like white shirt clerks which handed out beers.
Really?
No tattooed bartenders or I don't know, shaved up people or whatever. No, but white collar with the aprons, all fresh pressed and starched and all clean, and they handed out like the beers to a crowd of fans. And one thing I remember particularly from which kept this memory embossed into my brain is they had the crowd divided by little fences.
Oh yeah, the barriers
to keep the barriers to keep the fans sectioned. You could, if you gain early access, you get an extra wristband, and you can go in front of the stage with a special entrance, so you don't have to fight your way into the front. And you have the second barrier with a small gangway in between, in case there's an emergency and the paramedics have to go in and they don't have to work their way through the crowd. And there was the third tier of fans in the back, and some guy in the third tier threw up over this fence into this gangway. Okay, so and out of a door from the side came a cleaning maid while the bands were playing into this gangway with her brush, her mop or whatever she uses, starts cleaning up the vomit, packs the stuff and leaves. That was like like out of a movie or something. highly organized place. Totally can recommend the Schleierhalle in Stuttgart. Great place to attend heavy metal concerts.
Is that the best venue? Like, would you say? I mean, the staff aside, is that? Sorry, I'm just picturing a maid coming by and cleaning up. Because I've been in that scenario and nobody cleaned up after that guy. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But is that would you say that's the most memorable venue for you out of all of them?
No. Well, this is from 13 years ago. The most memorable venue maybe is the Jahrhunderthalle in Frankfurt, because it's not rectangular but a little disc shaped, and it's a very nice place, very pleasant, made with lots of wood on the not on the floor but on the walls, and it's all very nice, very clean, very very open, with high ceilings, and it's very nice. They also have a how's it called, a balcony where you can go out, for a smoke, because smoke is not allowed today in closed rooms, and you can get out on this balcony, and they have a bar over there. And if the weather is nice and the and there's a little light left, you can stand there, enjoy your beer, and look into the direction of Frankfurt, which is pretty impressive. And they go inside, and then you have the stage like I don't know, 50 meters away from you. So this is a very cool place. I went there in December, I believe, to see Amon Amarth and Arch Enemy and Hypocrisy. So great place.
Okay. Now, I mean, because you do have a wide, you've spanned from, the Blind Guardian Open Air Festival, which we talked about extensively in our video last year, and also, I mean, you've been to the Nuclear Blast show, you've been, in the smaller venues.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest crowd reaction you've ever witnessed, Eike? For a Blind Guardian show.
For a Blind Guardian show. That was definitely that was this one. No, totally, because this was not your regular gig, because this was at that time one of a kind thing that was special made for this band. The stage was special made for the band. We had those giant double-headed dragon front drops from the in front of the banana flies, where the PA where the music comes out, and all of the crowd, all of those 6,000 or 7,000 people were just waiting for this band all day long. And as soon as it was 10 at night, and as soon as you could hear the intro, War of Wrath starts playing, as soon as the flashbangs at the top of the stage, enlightened the the whole area for a split second, and the how's it called, the veil in front of the stage, fell down, and all the music was all over the place. People were just bursting with energy, and this was something I've never experienced before, never experienced after that. Okay. These people were so amped, so focused after, getting fried in the hot sun of Bavaria for hours and hours to go. This was the one thing they were waiting for, and this was how's it called? Unchallenged until today. Unmatched is the right word. That's just it until this point, because it's a circle.
We gotta wait for Open Air 2, and then
we have to wait for Open Air 2. We have the today's just to put this in context. Today's the 6th of August, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Blind Guardian has announced they're going to have a Q&A on Facebook.
Yes, they did.
And I couldn't help myself but popping the question there again. If they, in any foreseeable future, see that the fans may look forward to something like this.
Since this podcast, is dedicated to not only Blind Guardian's history, but also kind of, fan speculations and stuff like that. There's nobody who has a better handle, that I know, that has a better handle on the Open Air Festival than you do. So my curiosity is, with everything that's happened with COVID, and even seeing a festival as huge as, Waken, be streamed online.
Yeah.
Do you think that it would affect plans for the Open Air Festival? Do you think that this could delay it, or I don't even want to say cancel it, but you know what I mean? Change its venue.
I can't even foresee the next future for regular concerts. I'm pretty much looking into getting my tickets for all the music shows and the other things I want to see in next year, and I just can't for the life of me figure out how they want to do it. Not with the circumstances we have right now, and with the technology and the things we do to keep ourselves safe. I can't see how we do concert shows, not indoor concert in the next years. Okay, in the next year, not years, but in the next year. Open air, it's a different thing. We have open air shows going on right now. People are trying, the organizers are trying to make shows happen again, and to some extent, with people being seated, people having their space around them, so people don't get in contact with each other. There are festivals that shrunk down the audience and the amount of tickets they sell, just to make sure that the show itself does happen, but not with the same amount of people like before. But the thing is, you need on an open air festival, you need to get close with other people. You need to get dirty. You need to let go for a certain amount of time, and try to get out a certain amount of steam out of your system. And I don't believe that this is going to work if you have to keep people separated from each other. That's not just the same energy. If you take Wacken, for example, okay? Wacken is one of the biggest infields we have in Europe. Maybe I believe Grasspop is bigger from the amount of land they cover. And if you take this land and put it into squares, and you give one square to every person, and they stand and say, "This is your festival right now. Go party." I don't believe that this would produce the same spirit. And music is about spirit. Festival is about spirit. Festival is about people getting together.
Community, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, I agree with it, and I guess in that vein too, since Wacken we talked about in the initial, in the beginning, at least Violent Shadows we talked about, but specifically their performance on Wacken. I asked this on the page before, and I got varied answers, but for me, seeing a light crowd and a pre-recorded crowd reaction, it
Dude, it works with TV shows. There are dozens of TV shows where you have a laughing audience, and it works every time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I get the idea. I get why they did this, because I watched a watched another pre-recorded show by, I believe it was Schandmaul. It's a German medieval rock band. Okay, they're pretty popular here, doing pretty good stuff, and they were supposed to headline Feuertanz Festival, which is also a pretty big thing, pretty renowned thing, and they couldn't because of everything, and so they recorded the show and played the live set and did all the introductions and the announcements and whatever, and but they spoke into nothing. Okay, they're just doing their thing, and there's no response because there was nobody there. They had some technicians working the lights and the sound, but there was nobody clapping and cheering or whatever. And Wacken, in my opinion, did that better. They did the best they could to simulate a live experience, because even if you were completely aware that you were watching a TV screen, you could, if you want to, you could get yourself sucked into that and say, okay, right now I'm right there standing on the infield and listening to the band, and you could, and the sound they produced around it aided that. Okay, they helped putting up some sort of illusion. Okay, and that's okay. That's an okay thing to do. You can do that. It's allowed, because what can you do? What else can you do? Okay, you can't get people clapping over the internet. It just doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work today. Okay, so here we are.
Point. Yeah. Okay, and I mean, I get it. I don't know. To me, I entirely understand that, without a crowd, a live show just doesn't have what you need. It's all about the interaction between the fans and the band. So I understand wanting to simulate that, but it just seeing a crowd made up of computer generation completely just, for me, reminds me that I'm watching it on a monitor. Seeing a giant Waken's logo made of stone, dwarfing the stage, that's also computer generated. It takes away from me just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you go about doing it otherwise, but I found it very distracting. Yeah,
it's a decision between a rock and a hard place. Okay, you have to decide if you want to get pest or cholera. And the Wacken, I believe, I have high respect for what they do, because they just could have done nothing. Okay, they could just have sat back and say, well, okay, fuck 2020, we're looking forward to 2021, and here are some pre-recorded shows from 5 years earlier. They could have easily done that, just taking their archive material and putting it online and saying, okay, this is a fan favorite mix-up of all the shows we have produced in the past years, and I would have been able to see the laughing face of Ronnie James Dio again. Okay, but here's the thing. They got onto that problem and said, what can we do to make the best of it in this very situation? And they decided to, go forward and maybe make their experiences for the recordings or the streamings that will happen in the next years. Because I believe that live streaming or recording a festival is going to be, or is standard right now. I don't know about all festivals, but what I get from the festivals I look into, most of them have sort of footage or some TV coverage or whatever. And if this is a field of exploration, the Wacken people want to go, make their experiences with it, I'm happy to see the results and the aftermath in the next years, because I don't believe that they built all the knowledge and all the experiences they took from that and just just drop it in the next years. But I believe they will reuse parts of the knowledge and parts of the technology and parts of everything they acquired over the past weeks to make this happen again and put it to good use.
Well, and I mean, I guess fair point. I mean, new content is at least something. And if it wasn't for, WWW, we wouldn't have Violent Shadows at our fingertips right now, or at least that's the thought. That's the silver lining on it. But Wow. Yeah, I'm really happy that we had you on the show today, Eike, because you really just kind of you really just brought your experience. I mean, it's cool that we were able to go from 1999 all the way to today, and what the climate that we're in currently, and throw some speculation in there. So thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend. Do you
Thank
have
you for having me.
anything you want
Yeah.
to share with the fan base, the bards, the community, right now?
Okay. The heavy metal fans, no, the Blind Guardian fans in particular, are a great community, and I'm proud to be a part of this community, and I hope that everybody of us who runs shows like yours, or takes care of the Facebook group, or takes care of like, I don't know, an internet forum, or takes care of a physical set of people who are interacting as fans, does the same thing, to bring the same great quality, the same great energy among to other fans as well, to keep the circle of fandom going, so that we are still you and I and all the other people are still in touch to tip the next 15 or 17-year-old teenager on to become one of us, so he or she will attend all those great concerts in the future, and one day maybe another Blind Guardian open air. It's all for the next generation. Everything we do is for the next generation.
Well said, my friend. Well, Bards, this closes another chapter in Podcast from the Twilight World. Thank you, Eike, for sharing your time and your experiences with us. Can't wait to have you on the show again soon for the Blind Guardian open air hype episode that will no doubt come when
the aftermath of the second Blind Guardian open air.
Be prepared for a live stream from there with Eike and I. But until then, thank you for watching wherever you're listening, whether that be on Spotify, whether that be on YouTube, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, my friends. And with that, let's leave it to the memories. Kiss the wind goodbye. Podcast from the Twilight World would like to thank Acoustic Guardian for providing the breathtaking cover of And Then There Was Silence, my wife April Bell for designing the cool crest and logo for the podcast, and of course all the bards from the Twilight World, and those listening, thank you.